When we multiply, it often makes sense to multiply unlike quantities. For example, it makes total sense to multiply 5 cats times 4 feet per cat. If we have 5 cats, and every cat has 4 feet, then there are 20 feet. Cats and feet per cat are obviously different quantities. In one of them, we're counting cats. In the other one, we're picking up a cat and counting its feet. And the answer is yet a different quantity, right? It's just a number of feet, kind of running around loose, which is kind of creepy when you think about it. But this principle also applies when we're multiplying numbers. When we multiply, we often multiply different place values. And we often end up in a place totally different than where we started from. Okay, that sentence sounds weird. What does it mean? Well, if we have, say, 300 times 20, right, we have a 3 in the hundreds place times a 2 in the tens place. Right. Well, we'll have 3 times 2 is 6, and then we'll have tens of hundreds. In a sense, we're multiplying the place values. We end up with 6,000. The number of zeros in the product is the total number of zeros that we started with. We started with 1, 2, 3 zeros, and we ended up with 3 zeros. The same principle applies to multiplying decimals. If we were to multiply 3 hundredths times 2 tenths, we would still wind up with 6, but now these would be tenths of hundredths. In other words, we would end up with tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Our 6 is in the thousandths place. When we were working with the large whole numbers, it was the number of zeros that we totaled. Here, we have 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point, 0 or not, any old digits, 3 digits after the decimal point. We end up with 3 digits after the decimal point in our answer. So, when we multiply, in a sense, we also multiply the place values. For large numbers, that means the number of zeros in the product is the number of zeros we started with. For small numbers, the number of digits after the decimal point in the result is the number of digits after the decimal point that we started with. Now, for multiplying numbers that don't have a bunch of zeros in them, this gets a little bit more complicated. If we want to multiply 315 times 25, for example, we multiply together every pair of digits. But notice, as we fill in each individual digit, for example, as we were finding out about the 3, we multiplied the tens place times the tens place and wrote the result in the hundreds place. Similarly, if we were to multiply 1.23 times 4.2, we multiply together every pair of digits. And where does the decimal point go? Well, when we were finding out about the 6, right, we took tenths times hundredths. This 6 had better be in the thousandths place. This doesn't happen automatically like it did with the whole numbers. But if we put our decimal point here, we can make that happen. Again, the number of digits after the decimal point was the number of digits after the decimal point that we started off with. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.